All right, everybody. We are live on the next episode of the Raiders Rambles. As always, I am Jolt, chief host of the show, and joining me now is none other than my co-host, our hero boy, Orange Doggo.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Avera. Glad to be back
No, no,
again.
no, 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 no. At one certain legend called you Avara Nova.
Oh, I thought that was just his accent. Silly.
Yeah, how was being on his show, by the way?
Oh, it was great.
Oh, I
Yes.
bet you, right? Like,
Oh, Cross,
wh-
Noblecon. You guys there?
Yes, hello.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, you can introduce yourselves, and I'll get into that experience in a second.
I don't really
Alright.
know what's going on. I just kind of joined up,
I
hoping for the best.
I know you missed quite a lot of things here and there, but don't you worry about none. That's why we're filling you in.
All right. Yeah. So we got Noblecon and Cross here. So, last week I was in Manhattan. Went to on as a special guest on Milo's show. That was pretty fun. Chu Griffin was on the show as well, but he was there via Skype.
Because it's basically flying him out is going to be a bit of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So, I got there at the studio around 7 p.m. Met the people there. Of course, when I first got there, Milo was already recording something dressed up as Christina Blasey Ford, and I didn't recognize him at first, but so that was interesting. Yeah, we set up in his recording studio, got the microphone situation set up, and the show went pretty well. It was fun.
Come on now, you're making us all jealous by getting snugs with Milo.
Oh, I had to. I had to. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a fan of him for a long time, so it was really a good experience to actually meet him in person.
I bet.
No
Besides, if
regret.
only that thing wasn't blocked off by a $10 paywall, but hey, at least the segment's there.
Yeah.
Anyway, one by one, our other guests on the show, of course, are Cross. Say hi if you're here.
Hello. Screw it. Do it live.
Oh, we are.
I tried introducing you earlier. All right.
And of course, Noble can.
I'm so glad my flat is made with brick walls.
So you
Good.
can make all the noise you want.
No, because it's something solid I can beat my head into when I see something really stupid.
I think you're gonna need a bit of that this time
You
around.
might also die, so maybe we should refrain.
I also have a lot of sugar soap, so I can clean up the mess.
Alright, yeah, good luck
Fair
with that. Luck with that. So, this week alone, let's begin by asking everyone, what is this time of the year?
Drinking.
Drinking and turkey.
I'm an Aussie, so I'm guessing like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Turkey's right.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
So, how was your Thanksgiving and Black Friday?
I was really, really hungover Thanksgiving morning because I drank my face off Wednesday night. Black Friday, I didn't really do anything. I met up with a couple of local furs at Starbucks a couple hours ago, but this morning I didn't really do anything. We were just hanging up Christmas lights.
Oh, already. Wow.
There's never been a better time to get ready for the season, huh?
Yeah, that's well because I'm at my mother's house for the weekend, so that's what she does. It was every day after on Black Friday we would take all the Christmas stuff down and then we'd start setting it up, and then by the end of the day it would all be finished. But she has like a lot more blow ups now than I think she had before. We hung up the lights, and she got a couple of other like lawn props, like a couple of like light up deer and things like that. So she goes balls to the wall for Christmas. So it's actually kind of fun to set up. I do miss doing it since I've moved away.
Oh, that's really nice.
Mm.
My Thanksgiving was not really the best, unfortunately. I had work in the morning, but I ended up getting sick, so I had to go home early. And today is Black Friday, but I was still kind of sick all day. I really didn't get to go out much. So, kind of a bummer, but hopefully next year is going to be better.
And now here, we too in Australia don't really do the whole Thanksgiving shindig, but most of our shops are basically starting to pick up on the whole, there's a benefit to be gained by, getting into the spirit of Black Friday.
Mm.
So there is that. Yeah. I mean, I've seen shops do it a week early and so forth. And they, it's paid off. Then
Right. So
again,
did you get anything for Black Friday?
oh, I just because that face when I literally can't do it because I can't get out of work fast enough, and I realize the shops are closed. Aw.
Black
That's what
Friday's not
Cyber
even
Monday-
really. It's not even really Black Friday anymore because now a lot of the stuff you buy online, like today, I bought a couple of things online that I needed to get, but they've been running sales for like this entire week, and now next week they're running the same sales because it used to be Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and it was on those 2 days, but now they just do it for the whole 2 weeks. So it's not even like it's really Black Friday anymore. And people that go out and wait in lines for stuff are insane. And I've always thought that. That's why I never did any Black Friday shopping. But now I can do everything online for like those entire 2 weeks. It's just easier for me.
Mhm.
So now I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
Last year, I really took into it and picked myself up a microwave, but then again, my old microwave had stopped working, so it's like, ooh, I can save some money.
Yeah, I bought a computer on Black Friday once, and I will never do that again because I learned about how they like basically mass produce like these computers, and like they do to begin with, but like they rush them out the door because they want to get as many out as they can. So they have all sorts of problems, and like the computer I had, it was having all these problems, and even I took it to a computer place because I didn't know what else to do, and they said they're like, we've never seen this many problems with one computer before. I said, well. But then they told me about the whole like Black Friday thing, like anything electronic wise that you can buy other than like TVs, like you're gonna have nothing but problems with it. So I stopped doing that.
This microwave I picked up, it wasn't like a unique special thing. It's just one of the microwaves the store usually has, but discounted heavily. So
Yeah, well, a microwave doesn't really have a lot of moving parts that can go wrong, like a computer does. So
true. But I mean, hell, even the OEM box I got down here for myself, I had to fix up.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. No, as for me myself, yeah, I just ended up buying a few Steam games at the moment. I might throw down a little more here and there, but other than that, yeah. But at least just to remind to get to your our viewers and all that, do remember, take some time out, be with your family and your loved ones, celebrate Thanksgiving, and most importantly of all, do not be woke and salty about it.
Why not
Otherwise,
just completely leave out politics?
yeah, that's right. Don't go whole. Don't ruin your dinner with politics. Unlike what the ACLU is doing.
Hmm. Well, first was
It's
Columbus
like
Day.
woke
They wanted to get rid
Thanksgiving
of.
conversation starters, such as my pronouns
it?
are. Fine people
No.
for being no. No.
Some of my wait, what? My pronouns. Wow, you don't start a conversation like that.
well, apparently you do because they just did it.
Oh my goodness.
Awkward.
Please pass the pie and the Equality Act. What the hell? Why would you tell that to like your mother? Hey mom, can you pass the pie and a gender equality right now? Like, what the hell?
Kind of reminds me of Star
Not my
Wars.
apology.
What the heck? Ugh, jeez.
I know, right? Like, if I had whatever time I could to read the comments and all that, well, yeah, the ACLU did literally get so ass blasted.
Yeah, and what if you're in a more conservative home? What are some good conversation starters there? Hey, happy Thanksgiving, we win.
I know. So on, like, yeah, hi, uncle. I haven't seen you in a long, long time.
Yeah, how about that? That's a nice conversation starter.
Do you remember that mole that was on the side of my cheek?
The what?
The mole on the side of my cheek?
A mole?
Yeah,
Oh my
like,
God.
that thing on the face. Like, dude, literally everyone. If if it were me, so on and so on, all the kids in my school used to literally throw Austin Powers jokes at me.
Seriously?
Austin, why?
Yeah, why?
Mole, 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 mole.
Oh, I just got the shit beaten out of me.
Jesus. See, those are the good old days when you could actually beat people up instead of crying on Twitter about it. Ah,
You could still beat people up. They'll just cry on Twitter about it. You still get the satisfaction of kicking the living crap out of them, but they'll try and put you on blast for it.
yeah. All right.
So, I think we got a good conversation starter in the live comments. Boxcutter Husky says, "Hey, cuz, pass the gravy and the ammunition."
There you go. America.
Pox Carl also said, "This is my first Black Friday with legal weed, and so far I felt cheated. They stuck out all the crap weed. Yeah, kind of like what I was just talking about with how they water everything down for Black Friday. But speaking, I was actually in Denver. Was it 2 weeks ago? And I wanted to link up with some of the guys that are out there. I mean, I linked up with a couple of local Denver furs at an Applebee's, but I don't think any of them were raiders. I know Foxler hit me up when I was out there, but I ended up getting busy on the day that he wanted to hang out. I think Two Griffin lives out there too, doesn't he? Doesn't he live in Denver?
Who?
Two Griffin?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I think he does.
Yeah. I almost crashed my rental car because I passed by a weed dispensary on my way from the airport. And I'm looking out the window. I said, "What the?" It had like a marijuana leaf on it. I said, "What in the world?" And I look in front of me, and it was the curb in the parking lot. I said, "Jesus!" But even like people's houses that I were going to, they like grow the stuff in their backyards. I'm sitting there. I'm like, where I come from, you get caught with that much product, like your kids are going to prison.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I'd probably do the
Yeah.
same thing if I saw that. It's like a different world.
Yeah, it was. I just thought it was. I didn't know they had actual dispensaries. They were like storefronts, like almost like vape shops. I just figured you walked into like a 7-Eleven or a gas station. It's like buying a pack of cigarettes. It's like, yeah, I want a pack of weeds.
I want to
Apparently,
pack a
apparently it's not like that.
Yeah, it's a whole booming industry now.
I would have thought. So, if you wanted to buy weed for Halloween or Thanksgiving, how early should you buy to make sure you get the good stuff?
That's a great
I mean-
question. I don't smoke it, so I don't know.
I mean, you could just grow it too.
Sure, that does raise a few complicated matters.
Not unless,
Not
of course,
that
you
I
don't
speak from
do it on your
experience.
property.
But still. Anyway, regardless of that, though, I still like to wish you guys, a happy Thanksgiving this year. And
Yeah.
again, onwards to the next, because this tradition is going to stay alive.
Yeah, I hope it catches on in Australia. I mean, you can have a. Did James Cook ever meet up with the Maoris?
Maybe. He might have.
Maybe they had a nice little feast together. They danced to the didgeridoos.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Honestly,
sounds-
I think you
sounds
need to
like a
slap
good
him. You need to be slapped with a fish or something for that.
time.
Maoris don't do the whole didgeridoo thing. They
wait,
do
they
the
don't?
haka.
Wait, who does?
You're
whatever.
thinking of New Zealand, not Australia.
Oh, sorry. I mean, whatever.
Honestly, I might actually get a sticker of that, or not.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, you should.
Yeah, because I have a few ideas on the table. But anyway, the next item on the show, which is something we did kind of hash over a good bit last episode, you can feel free to listen to that as well, was the arrival of the Tesla Cybertruck. It's still an object of fascination, of course. I mean,
Yeah, I really don't know anything about this, aside from the fact that it's, I guess, a truck that's going to be run on what, like the Tesla, just electricity alone? That's it?
Yeah, it's Tesla's fully electric pickup truck, but the specs on it are kind of wild. I didn't think it was gonna be as insane as what I've read about this thing.
a triple motor system that can go 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds, and will cost $70,000.
What?
Yeah, that's the top of the line truck. The base model, which is it's a single motor. They have a single, a double, and a triple. The triple is the one you just described, but they're making a single, which I think starts at around 30, and the double starts at somewhere around 40, I believe. But with the specs that kind of surprised me were the towing capacity, which I can pull it up here. It says 3,500 pound payload, which is how much how much the truck can actually carry. Towing capacity starting at 17,500 pounds, which I'm assuming is for the single motor. The dual is 10,000, and the triple is 14,000, which that's encroaching on what essentially an F350 or an F250 can do. So it's a relatively small truck when you compare it to some of the super duties and heavy duties that are out there. So the fact that this truck is essentially competing with these big name brand like the Ford F250, the Dodge and Chevrolet 2500s. I mean, that's for a pickup truck coming right out the gate. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's very impressive. I had no idea.
And the single motor truck, I believe they said, has a range of 250 miles, and the triple is 500. So not terrible.
Have they said anything about the battery technology they'll be utilizing for this? Because I imagine the 18650s might not be able to,
It's probably the same lithium-ion technology they're using for their other cars, but they're probably just bigger, more powerful batteries.
So is it?
I haven't really read in that. I haven't read on that aspect of it much.
Is this is it out yet, or
they're taking pre-orders on them right now? It's not on the road yet, but they've started taking pre-orders.
Okay.
So does anyone want to estimate the death count of the factory workers?
The death count of the factory workers?
Yeah, Tesla have had problems with their factory workers getting injured in the past.
Well, I'm sure other manufacturers have that same problem. So, I mean, you'd have to compare it to them. Tesla's just taking a lot of flack right now because they're essentially pioneering this, and they're making a lot of people in the industry unhappy because I remember growing up, electric cars, people wanted electric cars, and all these manufacturers like Nissan pumped out the Leaf, and then I think, was it Dodge? They pumped out something that looks kind of like the Lotus Elise, but it was a concept that never really took off because nobody really knew how to do it. And then Tesla came along, and they basically showed the world not only can it be done, but it can be done on a massive scale and be incredibly successful. So now you have all these other companies like GM, Chevy put out the Bolt, Nissan amped up the Leaf, but they're nowhere near what, in comparison to Tesla, they're essentially nothing. So
I'm just kind of concerned about like the charging, because like let's say you run out of gas, right? You can go to the gas station, takes like 3 minutes, full tank, you're out of there. When it comes to charging a battery like this, doesn't it take like hours to charge?
Yeah, when you charge it at your house, people charge it overnight, but they have supercharging stations all over the place where they'll charge the batteries in about 30 minutes, which is still kind of a long time, but it's not like your house, because your house can only pump so much electricity through it, as opposed to these supercharging stations that can do it with a lot higher efficiency.
You know what I think would be a good idea? How about like a battery exchange station? Like you.
Yeah, they actually looked into that.
Yeah, that would take a lot longer than 30 minutes, especially if you're talking about multiple batteries like what's in this truck.
Remember, the Tesla Roadster apparently said they had 6,837 batteries when it first came out.
I thought it was
probably battery cells, but like all in one unit. Yeah. Because when I worked at the airport, we drove these fully electric tugs. They were the name of the company that builds them is called Lectro. So we had 4, like quote unquote batteries, but in each one it was several battery cells that were in there. So yeah, the thing had 4 like big batteries, but there was probably 16 cells in each one of them.
Oh, okay.
I would feel really sorry for whatever idiot decided to buy one of these that was really hammering it like daily, and for 12, 18 hours a day. because you're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to use the vehicle.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm assuming the vehicle isn't supposed to last like a day or something on a full
Well,
charge.
It depends on how many miles you drive it for and how long you have it running. I know people that have like the P90s and the Model 3s that they can go several days without charging it, depending on how much they use it. It's kind of like you can think of it like putting gas in your car. You don't put gas in your car every day. It's, you maybe do it once a week or once every couple of days, depending on how much you drive. It's the same thing with a Tesla.
Yeah, the thing is, I haven't seen many of these supercharging stations around at all on Long Island.
They at the Welcome Center they have them out east. There's a couple of gas stations that have them. They're not really widespread on where you're at or where I'm at because not too many people have Teslas because at the time it was really only the P90s and that's $100,000 car. So only not really wealthy people, but people that have money are going to have those cars. So the only place you're really going to find money on Long Island is out east or places like Oyster Bay or Bayville or what's the other one? Not Valley Stream. Locust
Yeah.
Valley?
Locust
maybe.
Valley.
So that's where all the money is, essentially. Anybody that has money, these are the areas that they're living in. So if you go there, I'm sure you're going to find a lot more charging stations because Tesla has sold probably more cars there than they have anywhere else in the island. So
Yeah, I live pretty much in the middle of Long Island, so like not out east, not out west. So I guess kind of.
yeah, when I worked in the Hamptons, I used to see them out there. Not at every gas station, but I would pass by gas stations and they would have one or two supercharging stations out there. So they're out there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be more prevalent, once this truck hits the market.
Well, I mean, it's more prevalent now because now they have the Model 3, which is essentially the Tesla for the middle class, because I think that starts at like $35,000.
I mean, still. But either
But
way,
a lot of people don't get them because it's like $7,000 to have your house equipped to be able to charge this thing. Because you can't just plug it into a DC outlet and charge it up. It's a whole like thing.
Wow, if only they could do that for like cell phones.
it'll explode. I'm exaggerating. But hey. On the side topic of it, Cross, what do you think about the whole Cybertruck's design?
The design is brilliant. It's nothing to look at. I'll give it that. But some of the most aerodynamic vehicles that have ever been built are the most god awful things to look at. The triangular shape, it's essentially, I mean, it looks like a stealth fighter, but I saw videos of it in it's CFD, I believe it's called, which is essentially where they simulate a wind tunnel on a computer, and it's pretty aerodynamic. And when I saw that peak that it has, where it has the really steep peak on the front where the windshield is, and then the shallow peak coming off the back, I'm sitting there. I said, that's going to be the most aerodynamic truck that's ever been built. And sure enough, when I dug into it a little bit more, it's one of the most aerodynamic vehicles that will be on the road. So it was interesting.
Yeah, but it's but also you got to realize it's modern retro.
Yeah, they may have been going for that kind of look too, but it's just like I said, anything that's super like some of these hypercars that are out there, people say, "Oh my God, it's such a pretty car." No, it's an ugly piece of crap. People are calling it pretty because the manufacturers doll them up and make them look nice. But if you strip all that stuff off of there and you just look at basically the structure of that car, it is the ugliest thing you will ever see. But it's incredibly aerodynamic, and that's why it can go so fast.
People like curves.
Curves that are way modern design.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have curved it out a little bit, but I think the peaks on it is what makes it unique. So I'm sure that's, like you said, I don't know if they were going for the modern retro kind of look, but from an engineering standpoint, that design is absolutely brilliant.
Still, it's like the 2020 DeLorean.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure when I played Twisted Metal when I was a kid, that truck was one of the vehicles in the game, but it's still a brilliant design.
Actually, that reminds me. I wonder if there's going to be a movie where that vehicle will be a time machine.
That would be pretty funny.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, Also, one last thing just to wrap this segment off. What do you think about the memes that have been produced by the Cybertruck?
They're brilliant. I love them.
I have not seen any of these memes. Please tell me.
Oh man, this memes all over the place. There was one, I think it was an old
Watch the
James
last
Bond
episode
game.
if you want to see them all. But yeah.
Yeah, there was an old James Bond game, and it was like the first person, like you saw, it was essentially you like holding a gun out, like all those old games did, and parked outside the building in like this really crappy rendered thing, because that's just how the technology was back then. There was a Cybertruck out there. I said it actually fits perfectly.
Okay.
And then, of course, everybody compared it like this is the Halo Warthog, and even like the developers of Halo and Xbox got in on it.
I mean, I saw that one, but I don't think it looks anything like the Warthog.
Seriously, I want it as a Halo mod. I really do.
I want to see Puma.
And also, there's one also, that was compared to the Homer Simpson's bubble car.
I don't think I
Oh,
saw that one.
Is that from a design standpoint?
Yeah, but didn't that ruin his brother's company?
Well, apparently, apparently people are crowing on about how Tesla got so devalued after the Cybertruck reveal.
Why would it get devalued?
It did
Remember,
not get
like-
devalued in any way.
But yeah, but that's just basically nothing but, I don't know.
Well, I
'Cause
think
I think-
a lot of that had to do with is the fact that the windows broke when they were testing it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
'cause
they claimed it
it's
was like
essentially it's
literally
supposed-
bulletproof.
Yeah, and I think from what I saw not long after that reveal, they were doing tests on that truck throughout the day. So I think what happened is they probably tested those windows one too many times to the point where it finally got weakened. So when they brought it out on stage, that just happened to be when those windows weakened. Because even like bulletproof glass,
Mhm.
if you shoot the same area enough times, you'll break that window and bullets will start going through it.
Okay, having bulletproof glass windows on a car is not a good idea.
I don't think the glass is bulletproof, but I'm just saying if you're testing something, yeah, it'll withstand it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but eventually it's gonna weaken. Even
thought
bulletproof glass, like if like some of like these military trucks that have bulletproof glass, when a bullet hits that glass, you essentially have to replace it because now it's weakened and it can't withstand that kind of abuse anymore. So it's sort of like the same kind of thing.
My understanding with bulletproof glass, it was only meant to, well, after the attacks occurred, you're supposed to replace it straight away. Otherwise, yeah, you can have glass all over your face.
Yeah, because the structural integrity gets compromised.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, would I buy one of those things? Maybe.
I would.
Maybe not.
When I can afford it, I would.
I'd rather wait till the technology more matures.
It looks pretty advanced right now, actually.
Yeah, it looks and is sometimes two separate things entirely.
Yeah, the technology's there. Tesla's got a pretty good line of cars going for them right now. The P90 and the Model 3s have been pretty successful. It's just people are resilient to change. That's what it really comes down to.
I don't even own a car, so, that and also wouldn't have a space for a charging station or keep it undercover, which is another problem.
All right. For more again about the memes and how we all laughed about the Cybertruck, go check out the last episode. But that is also, this is the segment that we've covered. So, the next item on the docket, a HIV sperm bank has been opened up in New Zealand.
They're HIV positive, so basically they're trying to destigmatize HIV.
That seems like a very smart idea.
If you read the actual article, it does state that the people who are donating, it's no longer detected in their system.
Undetectable viral load.
I would not take that risk, though. That's no.
I don't think I'm just understanding the concept here. So, sperm banks with people that are HIV positive, but it doesn't show on the test. So,
Yeah.
So they're HIV positive, but they're not HIV positive. I don't get it.
I think it's no longer HIV positive.
No, thing is, you can't ever fully get rid of it. The thing is, when you do have HIV, you go through treatment. It can be detectable in your system less and less over time, to the point where you can show up as negative. But I mean, you technically still have to keep on taking the treatments to stay like that, but it won't be detectable more or less in your blood system.
That sounds a lot like what goes on with cancer when people are in remission. I have a feeling it's where it'll back off to the point where there's not as much, so that it won't get detected, but it's still there and it can still cause problems.
I mean, if
Right,
you
well-
had a... Sorry?
Oh, yeah, well, right. Well, that's why cancer does come back, on occasion. But you don't have to constantly keep being treated for it after your cancer is gone, unless it does come back.
No, but like I said, like I don't know how it is with cancer, but with HIV, from what I understand it, it's never really, or even like herpes, like you go into like a remission phase to where it's gone and it's not bothering you anymore, but it's still there and it'll flare up again at some point.
Exactly. So I don't know if this is a good idea or not.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's kind of scary. It's kind of like that law that was made in California, where if you knowingly give someone AIDS or HIV, then you won't get fined for it, or like, sorry, the punishment is going to be a lot less. Because I think you used to go to prison for it, but now you don't.
I mean,
And
I guess
that's-
that would be a case by case basis.
That's scary, though. Why would they do it like that? Like, oh well, this person, they have like bug chasers and all those creepy people that knowingly spread HIV, and they're like, oh well, that's all right. Now we're going to pass a law where your punishment's going to be a lot less for doing that. It's like you're trying to kill people.
Well, it depends on what the punishment was before and what it is now. You know?
I think it was pretty steep before. It's a couple of years in prison, I believe. Now it's only a fine. Oh no, yeah, they also demarked it from a felony to a misdemeanor.
Well, I don't. That's a weird. I don't know if I would ever classify that as a felony.
Knowingly trying to give someone a deadly disease? Ah,
I look at it like this. Well, what if they did the same sort of thing where if you
Well,
walked up to someone and stabbed them in the back?
HIV is not deadly. AIDS is deadly. HIV eventually not transforms, I shouldn't say, it develops into AIDS, but HIV in itself is not deadly. I mean, look at Magic Johnson. He's had HIV for 20 years and he's still alive. You know, it's when you get AIDS that kills you. HIV doesn't.
And what about the medical expenses that you have to go through?
That's a different conversation. But in that case, if you knowingly give somebody that and you do it menacingly, then you should probably be responsible for that.
yeah. So I don't know what this sperm bank here is trying to really do. I mean, I guess they're, like I said, they're trying to destigmatize it. But I mean, would you really trust it though? Just because it's
But my question is if you have an HIV positive sperm bank and then obviously for something like that you're essentially donating it for somebody to get pregnant, but would the HIV transfer to the offspring? Like that's like where my mental knowledge doesn't really, because essentially what I would think is that you're going to be giving birth to somebody who has HIV.
I would assume so.
At the
That's
very
the-
least, the person that's receiving the sperm donation is going to have HIV because that's how you get it. But yeah, I don't, unless they're just using it to give it to other people that have HIV. But at that point, that doesn't make sense either.
Oh no, that's not what they're doing. No, they're getting donations from people who have it.
To give it to people that don't.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into that. That seems like it's a little unbelievable, but I would have to read more into it to get my own opinion.
I really would like to know what's going on politically and locally in New Zealand just to figure out why on earth someone would think this is a good idea.
Yeah, you want to bring up the article again?
Oh, absolutely. I think I may have a couple different articles as well to share, which I can absolutely do that. So yeah, basically, so Free Men have basically started this with an undetectable viral load that by definition that means it's so small that apparently it cannot be transmitted.
Well,
at all.
if that's the case, then I wouldn't see a problem with it. That if it's such a minuscule amount that there's no scientific or biological way that it can get transmitted, then I wouldn't see the problem. But I lack the medical knowledge to be able to. No, I guess not to make an opinion on it, because obviously what I just said is my opinion, but to provide, I guess, factual evidence that it's a bad idea.
Yeah, because there's always a risk. There's always a risk.
But if it's scientifically proven that an X amount of this disease is not transmittable, then at that rate, I would not see any issue.
Unfortunately, something like this, you'd have to wait like 30 or 40 years to see the eventual
you would need
results.
to do you would need a really, really, really large sample size in order to gain enough evidence to support that. But if that's the case, then I would not disagree with this. If that's the case.
It's also something you can't use the lab rats for.
Yeah.
Well, you can or can't?
You can.
You really can't. You'd have to have essentially human trials on it.
Yeah, this is. I don't think that they ever have done that, human trials. I mean, what woman would want to be willingly impregnated with something like that?
Well, I mean, there was I think it was actually on Plum Island where they did it, where they found a cure for HIV in a chimpanzee. And in terms of, I guess, I don't even know what the word would be, but we're the most closely related biologically to chimpanzees, because that's supposedly what we evolved from. So that was like probably about 10 or 15 years ago, and I haven't heard anything about it since. But I guess that's where they would start the trial. But that's not 100% conclusive.
Right. Yeah, I just think that there's too much of a risk for this to really be promoted as a positive thing.
I don't really know that it was being promoted as positive. I think it was just saying that this is what their idea was.
Oh, if they want to reduce the stigma of the disease, that's what they're trying to do, right?
I mean, from what I was looking at, it didn't look like that's what that article was trying to do. It didn't look like it was trying to destigmatize it. It said, this is what we've scientifically discovered, so this is the route that we're taking. And
because they say as well, like, that the modern kind of medication that they've been taking on has made it literally, they claim, impossible to pass on through, like, so
that's not destigmatizing it. That's saying, from what we've discovered, if you have this much of the disease, it's not transmittable, so therefore we can do this. They're not saying, oh, well, who cares if a person has HIV? That shouldn't matter. That's not what they're doing here. This is something completely different.
Oh, no. Here's what I'm saying. So here's a line that says, near the bottom, the fear of stigma and discrimination can stop people at risk from getting tested, and those living with HIV from accessing treatment and support. So yeah, that's what they're trying to say. Like, if they have places like this, people are going to feel more comfortable and, be more open about it.
Wait, because it's really small on my screen. Read that line again.
The fear of stigma and discrimination can stop people at risk from getting tested. And those living with HIV
that's just
from
saying that it's because people are afraid of getting tested because they're afraid of what's going to happen if they are HIV positive. That's what it sounds like it's saying. Like the fear and stigma of having it, not
right. But also places like this that are more supportive towards it, it's going to decrease that, I would assume.
I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that at all.
All right, never mind then.
Well, in any case, though, what they're trying to do, I suppose, is that it's not what you'd call, a fertility clinic. It's just basically
no.
Both parties agreed with having sperm for somebody who's HIV undetectable. Then
or untransmittable.
I mean, if they want to,
yeah.
This is tough.
Take that risk themselves.
If that's what they've scientifically discovered, that it's not transmittable and this is why they're doing it, then I don't have a negative opinion about it. But they better have a lot of scientific evidence to back that up, because if something goes wrong, they're going to be under the gun.
The other thing I'd hope is that there would be something set up in the event that a child born from this does have HIV, are they going to get any support? Because it's not their fault at all.
Right, like who would even be liable for that?
It would probably be the whatever the lab is that's administering this. Because it sounds like they're essentially taking the liability on for this because it's an HIV sperm bank. So
Yeah.
they would be liable for that. So I'm sure they've calculated all that risk, which makes me believe that scientifically what they're doing, it's supported. But
God, I hope so.
I surely hope that they are financially prepared in the event something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a problem. Again, if I personally would not take that risk at all. So
No, I wouldn't either.
No, I wouldn't either.
yeah,
Not that I would have to worry about it, because I would never go to a sperm bank to be a recipient. If anything, I would be a donor.
But anyway, but for them to basically donate in the first place.
Oh, one more thing about HIV. I think it's National AIDS Day is December 1st. And about a week ago, MFF made an announcement that they're going to have free testing at the convention.
They've always had that. I went, what was it, 2016 was the first time I went, or 2017, and I did the HIV testing when I was there.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that they just re-announced it last week just to let everybody know.
Yeah.
Which is good and a little scary because, like, it's definitely a problem that's recognized. But if it does help people, then that's good.
I think all conventions should have that. Because the whole reason I did it, because the last time I got an HIV test before that was when I was trying to get into the Navy, and I had to go through the medical thing, and they drew blood. But they didn't do like the finger prick thing like with the military when they do it. They actually stick an IV in you, they draw out a whole bunch of blood, and then they send that off to a lab that takes like weeks for it to come back. And I actually had to go do that process twice because the first time they did it, they screwed it up. So I had to go back to Fort Hamilton and do it again.
Oh no!
But at the convention, they basically just prick like the tip of your finger and they run it through. And it's 99.999% accurate. So I mean, I'm sure it is. But obviously, I came up negative when I did it. And but I think all conventions should have that because there's no excuse, especially if it's free. There's no reason for you not to do it,
Yeah.
Because you don't have to you don't just have to have sex to get HIV, especially where I was working, where I was exposed to all sorts of stuff. I mean, I could have cut myself and been exposed to it, and now it's without ever touching anybody. So.
Yeah, it's scary.
I had an incident at work a couple months ago where someone cut themselves by accident, I'd at least hope, and the blood hadn't been cleaned up for an entire day. So when I went over to start doing stuff, there was just like blood smeared all over these plastic bags, and I just went, what the Luckily I was wearing gloves, but still it's like, what the?
Yeah,
and that was one of the things when we went through training. That's what they told us, because we had like when I worked at the airport, we had like a pathogen, not really a class, but it was I don't even know what you would call it. But they would even say, like, if something happens and someone's bleeding a lot, treat them like they're contaminated. Don't go over there with your bare hands and make sure you're wearing gloves or something. I was like, well, if somebody spontaneously explodes out on the ramp, I'm probably not going to run over there and find out what caused it. I'm probably going to run in the opposite direction. But it got me thinking. I said, I didn't even think of that. Just being exposed to somebody that's maimed could potentially transmit something.
Yeah.
I guess it explains why paramedics are always wearing gloves.
Oh, yeah. They take more precautions than pretty much anybody else that's out there.
I get you. But now we've got one on the
I'm sorry?
Jolt, you okay?
show, and
Oh, yeah.
this is just going to be so
Alright, you're cutting out a bit.
an Antifa video game. The society we live in, people.
Boy.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
I haven't heard anything about this, so I'm a little in the dark here.
Oh, it's a video
Antifa,
game.
the video game wants to teach kids like fascism.
All right, Jolt, you're really cutting out
Yeah,
here.
you are breaking up bad.
Let's see. Antifa, the video game.
AVR,
I can barely hear you, dude. All right, so this is what we got as a title, though, from Vice. Interesting. Antifa, the video game, wants to teach gamers about anti-fascism.
There's
Oh my
plenty of video
god.
games that already do that.
Yeah, but let's see. A new game lets players fight a ridiculous caricature of the Trump regime, but is nevertheless backed by serious politics. Welcome to Dumpland.
no. You know what I'd want to say? Welcome to.
Trumpland? Oh, there we go.
Pretty much.
Oh Jesus.
Welcome to Clown World.
All right.
See,
guess-
my concern with this is that
Take it from
what happens if they try to turn people into fascists?
What's the difference between a fascist and an anti-fascist? There isn't.
It's just a
Of course, you feel.
little silly. I mean, they're making something fictional here when we have Call of Duty games and Battlefield games where you can actually kill Nazis.
Yeah, but this game isn't for that. It's
Well, I mean, that's like their buzzword is, oh, Trump supporters are Nazis. Well, why don't you go play Battlefield 5 and pretend everybody wearing that little Nazi armband is a Trump supporter?
What about Wolfenstein?
I never actually played that, but I heard it was really good.
Oh, you should play Wolfenstein 3D. It's great. Break out of a Nazi prison.
Sure. The new series? No, that's full of work. New one, not full of work.
Jolt. It is hard to hear you, man.
Oops.
So,
All right.
who do you think is gonna buy this game, though?
Probably nobody.
Well, I mean, the whole get woke, go broke, yeah. But I imagine like a party of like purple-haired feminists are probably gonna sit around and play this and feel all virtuous about themselves.
Yeah, it'll probably be one of those games that doesn't do well but has a cult following.
Does anyone remember? Several years ago, there was a game made by PETA that was effectively their take on Pokemon. Kind of reminds me of that.
Oh god.
Oh, is that like a screenshot of the game? So it's not even like it's like an indie game almost.
A freaking screenshot of the game, and look at how friggin'. They even have the thing to say that this is like a parody, while they themselves totally lack self-awareness. Seriously.
I mean, people have made dumber games and have made a lot of money off it. I mean, take a look at Flappy Bird. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh.
true.
People do like to troll a fair bit. I mean, look at what Tesla's been doing. I mean, this is going to be a hell of a lot less on the budget-wise, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, Elon Musk knows how to troll. That's the thing. You have to
This
know how
guy-
to do it in order to be good at
No,
it.
this guy who made the game, no, he doesn't know how to troll. This is him just being like freaking, pushing wokeness.
Yeah, no, this is not something that was made as a joke. This is like something that was made seriously.
So what happens in a few
Yeah.
years when Trump is no longer president? It's all going to be useless.
Well, that's what I've been telling people. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, you're this, you're that," because you support Trump. But what happens when he's out of office and now you can't use that as an excuse anymore?
Yeah,
What are you gonna 20 years from now? Oh, well, you were a Trump supporter back when he was president, so I can't talk to you. How ridiculous is that gonna sound?
yeah,
that's
it's
sort of
going to
BS
be silly.
going on nowadays anyway. I mean, it's like the Uber delivery driver or whatever drops something off at your house. If they're an actual Nazi, apparently you can be chastised for that. So,
Well, I mean, if you're say you can't even say actual Nazi because an actual Nazi for what the Nazis actually were isn't really around anymore. But if like if you're like a self-identifying Nazi, then you're just a freaking moron.
Were the
But-
neo-Nazis still a thing, or have they sort of
They're
died off?
still a thing, but I don't even really compare them to the actual Nazis back in the 40s because the neo-Nazis aren't doing anything nearly as what the actual Nazis were doing.
Oh, they're basically just
I mean, I
lobbers.
haven't seen neo-Nazis trying to conquer an entire region and round people up and exterminate them. Like, no, neo-Nazis is just a bunch of friggin' idiots that sit around in a barn and they talk about how they talk about ethnic cleansing and all this other stuff, but they don't actually do anything other than just talk.
You know, like I said, they're basically LARPers. And I've never actually seen a neo-Nazi in real life. Now, as far as I know, they march around and whatnot and do their little thing. But I've actually
Yeah,
seen
all they basically is just
anti-fascists.
scream yard and carry a tiki torch.
Yeah, but I mean, I've actually seen anti-fascists in real life before, and they're scary,
Yeah.
scary people.
And you got
Like-
these videos of them beating up political opponents, which is exactly what Hitler's SA did when he was trying to get into power.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Ugh. That's why I said before, what's the
Okay.
difference between a fascist and anti-fascist? There isn't one,
But it just depends on the context at that point.
I guess.
Oh, and here's a little funny part I found about this game, though. So on and so on. That this game thinks it's succeeding by bringing overt anti-fascism to gamers. You know
Yeah,
what
I'm
gamers
pretty
are
sure
sick
anyone
of?
online's going to know about this.
You know what gamers are sick of? Politics in games. That's why we
It's-
had, the Gamergate movement.
I just find it so unusual that people really do think, like on the woke left side, they really do think that like white supremacists rule the world. It's kind of messed up. Like how?
Yeah,
And,
it's definitely a problem, but they are blowing it up way more than it actually is.
I mean, they think Trump is literally Hitler. Like, dude.
Well, they're just
No.
brainwashed. They actually do think that. They're just brainwashed because they just sit around in a circle and they talk about it. And eventually you get enough people talking and you're going to get riled up and you're actually going to believe what you're hearing.
Oh my god, man, it's so scary. And you know what this game kind of reminds me of? Remember that movie that was supposed to be coming out? I think it was going to be on Netflix. It was about like the most dangerous game, more or less.
Oh,
Yeah. Like when they have
Sorry.
hunting humans.
didn't see that.
Instead. Oh, okay. Basically,
I
they
just
were
basically
hunting.
missed the thing. Whatever. I
They were
forgot to turn my
hunting-
screen share off.
Yeah, hunting Trump supporters. Like that's literally what the movie's about.
I feel like there's
How
other
long-
movies in the past that are like that, but they just weren't Trump supporters. They were something else.
How long was that movie? What was it? Sorry, what was the runtime of that movie?
Oh, the runtime? I don't know. I think it was a full-length film. It was like on Netflix, or it was supposed to be.
Like a whole 90 minutes of people hunting Trump supporters.
Basically, they get
Okay.
kidnapped, they
Yeah.
get put on this island, and yeah, they're hunted down. This is
Sounds
maybe
like the Hunger Games, but crappier.
Yeah.
it's based on that story called "The Most Dangerous Game," which is basically about a human hunting other humans. Yeah,
Like
it's
a
messed
battle
up.
royale.
But, like,
Well,
who
that's
the
not really
hell-
hunting.
Yeah, this is what the movie's about, though. I mean, it's so why?
I just feel like I've played games and seen movies that are kind of like that, but people are just up in arms because it's Trump supporters. Like, realistically, I wouldn't care either way. If it's a good movie, I'll watch it.
I mean, it's definitely got a message behind it. And like you said before, in a few years when he's out of office, it's going to be irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We live in a crazy woke world, that's for sure.
The only thing I can give credit for is if the guy literally is sticking to his principles and releasing it for free, then that's because this game is literally worthless. And remember what they kind of think over the whole anti-socialist shtick? Free
Is
stuff.
the game free? Is the game for free?
Well, if it is, he's
Well,
sticking
if
to
it's a
his
socialist making it, then you would think it is. If the guy's a socialist.
Yeah, because they're all about the free stuff.
Well,
And just
sorry.
Oh no, go on.
Well, the other thing he could do is release it for free, but ask for donations or what you think is fair for the game.
Oh, Toonie asked, what is the game called? It's literally just called Antifa.
That's it. And all it does is
Yeah.
basically take a, apparently quote unquote, the Vice says, take the piss out of a Super Mario game.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. It looked like
Yeah.
it was like one of those old school like indie games. Probably
Yeah.
because there wasn't really much of a budget from this guy to actually make a full like. Which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because some of the best games I ever played were indie games.
Yeah, like
On
Baldi's Basics. You ever play that? Oh my god.
on
That
a,
was
on
fun.
a side little tangential note, how successful do you think these guys are going to even be if they're going to try and get gamers to anti-fascism, like in the Antifa sense?
Well, it really depends on how well the game plays. Like if it's a good playing game, then it'll be successful. But if it's just strictly about pushing
Politics.
a message and not so focused on gameplay, then it's not going to succeed as a game.
Agreed.
And that's just like developing games 101. I mean, I've played plenty of games where it had like a good message, quote unquote, where like the storyline was really good, but the game played like crap, so I didn't enjoy it. And I've played games that play amazing, but the storyline behind it was crap, so it wasn't really that great of a game. Kind of like the new Call of Duty. Like the new campaign is pretty awesome, but this, I mean, probably because I only played it once, and I usually have to play Call of Duties like 2 or 3 times to actually
Yeah, but
understand the plot.
the
but-
thing is, the new Call of Duty, everybody got super duper salty because of the whole white phosphorus thing and all that other stuff.
Yeah, which I don't even really know. It's like it's a video game. Who
Yeah.
cares? Because they sit there and say that, oh yeah, you're not supposed. There's a lot of things that people are not supposed to use in war that people are very much still using in war. So
Like flamethrowers.
yeah, well, I mean,
Or-
flamethrowers you can use it. You're just not supposed to use it as an anti-personnel weapon. But
That
know.
landmines.
kind of like the Barrett 50 cal, it's an anti-material rifle, but you can guarantee people's heads are getting split open with that thing on a daily basis.
I would have thought they would have vaporized.
It depends. I guess it depends on how close you are. If you're shooting at somebody from a couple of miles away with it, then their head will just explode.
It's like a rabbit with a shotgun.
That's
Boom.
terrifying.
But anyway, here's a little thing. Boxcutter Husky also says, one North Korean won should be the price of that Antifa video game.
Oh, so like negative $5?
Yeah, I'm guessing there's not really a lot of value behind that.
Yeah. But to be honest, though, I suspect that if you went on Twitter and see who was going to crow about it the loudest, then, well,
I'm pretty sure those are the people who have pronouns in their bio.
yes, and all these hundreds and hundreds of genders.
Perfect way to avoid the wrong people. Just look at their profiles.
Yeah, really. I'm a pandemic boy,
You know-
genderqueer. Yeah, okay, nope.
But that's the kind of thing as well, though. It's going to have the the opposite of the intended effect because it's literally, an Antifa sim that'll basically get them to, get out there and, and start, torching buildings and shit.
Being like traditional Halloween.
No. Go off and, make their own homemade, Molotov cocktails and that sort of thing.
I will say, just to come back to the Call of Duty thing for a second, because I was just thinking about this. I'll be a little bit of a soy boy here, but there's one mission that you play where you essentially are supposed to rescue an ambassador, and the ambassador ends up getting killed, so you rescue the assistant, I think it is, and you essentially fight the Benghazi thing, where I don't know if you ever saw the movie 13 Hours, but that whole scene where they're on top of those 2 buildings shooting at the people that are rushing them, that's exactly what you're doing. And as I'm playing this, I said, I feel like this probably should not be a mission in Call of Duty. Like, I get you want to go at realism, but this might be a little too early to release a mission that plays like this. I mean, it was like scary, like how accurate it was. I'm sitting there, I'm like, and they even went as far as killing the ambassador. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, too soon.
Yeah, like we don't even have video games where they really reference 9/11 in any sort of fashion.
Yeah, that's right. Huh.
Weird, huh?
Well, there was that one TV show, but that was like a year before 9/11.
Yeah, that's a show, but there's
Not
there's
again.
no video game where you're playing the events of 9/11.
Yeah, that'd be
It really makes me
crazy.
wonder.
Imagine like a police game where you're like, it's like the day of and you're trying to rescue people.
Yeah, it's like we wouldn't even go that far, and that was almost 20 years ago. Even like the whole Pearl Harbor thing. I've only played really one game where you play the events of Pearl Harbor, and that's Heroes of the Pacific, which wasn't even really that big of a game. But even in the World War II, like Call of Duties or Battlefields, you don't play any missions at Pearl Harbor.
Hmm.
And I probably know why, but now we have Activision making this embassy mission that just happened like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That
I was playing. I was like, it was a fun mission. I mean, I failed it like 17 friggin' times, but I'm just playing. I said I don't know if this should be a mission.
Hmm.
Be like if they turned around and made a game where you had to bomb Darwin during World War II.
Or if the Japanese tried their luck invading Australia, which was just nothing but hypothetics. Still.
But didn't they carry out a couple of bombing raids in Australia though?
Yeah, it was in Darwin.
Yeah.
Must...
Wow. All right.
Well, I think this is high time we basically, set up and closed up the week. So, one by one, any closing statements about, what's on the news this week, what's so on and so forth, or any reminders, have a great, Thanksgiving, Black Friday.
Yeah. I guess I'll just say one thing I'm thankful for is modern medicine, because people are living longer, and that's good. Also, someone who's close to me is undergoing cancer treatment, so I'm thankful that they're still going strong. It was a good episode, guys.
A little more serious than we thought, but hey, make that work. So, any of you other guys cross? Anything to wrap up with?
I'll say don't hate the Cybertruck. It's definitely a step in the right direction in terms of advancing technology. It is something that I believe is gonna result in a lot of good things later on down the road. It's definitely set, maybe not a new standard, but a new expectation for what the future holds for automobiles.
Now, Noble, if you're there, have you got something
Sorry,
to
I'm
wrap up
there.
with?
Gooey screw up. I'm thankful I got some reason to get out of my flat every day
No?
almost.
Okay. I suppose. Look, I suppose we deal with the crazies, and we just basically the best thing to do is just probably laugh at it. This is the world we
Here,
live in after all.
hold
So,
my
yeah.
beer.
Better make the most out of it. And I'd like to also remind you guys once more, our episodes are available at Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and we will indeed be getting up and setting up new platforms in soon. So we'll keep a lookout for that, and I will basically keep you in the loop if we do make that decision to set up a new base. This is us signing off for the week. Farewell, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.